Ethiopia is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. At least that's what the data tells us. GDP is rising, infrastructure projects everywhere, new highways, railways, dams, which are ambitious projects that signal progress. But here's the problem. Most Ethiopians don't feel it. They look around and their daily lives haven't improved. Food prices are up, jobs are scarce, public services are stretched thin. So what's really going on? Let's break it down. GDP, or gross domestic product, measures the total value of everything a country produces. But it doesn't tell us who's benefiting. It doesn't say anything about fairness, equality, or quality of life. You could have $1 billion economy and still have millions of people living in poverty. That's what's happening in Ethiopia. In Addis Ababa, you see tall buildings, new malls, and fancy apartments, but head outside the city and it's a different world. Most Ethiopians, almost more than 75%, live in rural areas. Many of them lack clean water, electricity, proper school, or decent healthcare. So while the economy grows on paper, the reality for everyday people stays the same, or worse. Inflation has hit hard. Teff, cooking oil, fuel, even public transport costs way more than they used to. But salaries haven't caught up. So people work harder and earn less in real terms. That's not growth, that's survival. Now let's talk about jobs. Ethiopia has a young population, millions of educated, ambitious youth, but too many of them can't find work, or they are stuck in a low-paying job that doesn't match their skills. This leads to frustration, and in many cases, migration. Why is this happening? Part of the answer lies in how the economy is structured. A lot of Ethiopia's recent growth comes from huge infrastructure projects, like dams, railways, and industrial parks. These are important, yes, but they don't always create long-term jobs, and they don't necessarily fix everyday problems, like food shortage or public transportation. Worse, some of the projects are funded through foreign debts. Ethiopia has borrowed billions from international lenders, especially China and institutions like the World Bank. That means a chunk of the country's income goes towards repaying loans, instead of improving services for citizens. Add to that the devaluation of the birr. When the birr loses value, imports become more expensive. Medicine, fuel, and machinery costs more, making life harder for businesses and families alike. And we cannot ignore the impact of conflict. The war in Tigray, unrest in Oromia and Amhara, these have destroyed infrastructures, disrupted trade, and drained national resources. Peace is essential, not just for safety, but for the economy. Corruption and poor governance also plays a role. Funds are mismanaged, projects are launched without transparency, and often the people who benefit most are those already in power, or foreign investors, not the average Ethiopians. Then there is foreign aid. Ethiopia receives billions in assistance. It helped in many ways, but it also creates dependency. Instead of building a strong internal economy, the country risks becoming trapped in a cycle of borrowing and waiting for aid. So, what's the solution? First, we need to shift the focus from GDP to human development. That means asking real questions. Are people healthier? Are they educated? Can they find meaningful work? Are families eating well? Investing in healthcare, education, agriculture, and small businesses will do more for long-term growth than single mega projects. Second, the government must address inflation by improving local production and fixing broken supply chains. If people can't afford to eat, economic growth means nothing. Third, restore peace and trust. Without stability, no economy, no matter how ambitious, cannot thrive truly. And finally, let's not forget the power of equity. If the economy only works for the elite, then it's broken. Growth must include everyone, not just the capital, not just investors, not just the wealthy. In the end, Ethiopia's story is a story of potential, incredible potential. But potential doesn't feed families. It doesn't educate children. It doesn't build futures. What matters isn't just how much the economy grows, but who it grows for.